Hey guys, welcome to another Raid Shadow Legends video. I don't know, I'm going to try to contain my mood right now, but I figured some people asked me to get on and make a video about what I thought happened this morning with the 1.7 patch, so we're going to try to get through this as objectively as possible without me just breaking down and swearing, cussing, and uninstalling the game. So on that note, let's begin by just taking a look at the 1.7 patch notes. If you guys aren't aware, they just dropped in this morning with a few of like the quality of life changes they had added kind of beforehand, but this one kind of unlocked all of the features. So let me see if I can find a good website to post these patch notes, and we'll just kind of go through them and talk about like what I think about them and what they mean, and maybe some clarifications as I can throw up some links to what's been said on the official Discord by the whatever those people are on Discord, community managers, moderators, whatnot. Okay, so here we go. We'll post. Take down this screen. All right, so 1.7 patch notes. So the first thing we notice is they decide to lead in their patch notes with a referral program. Now, I don't know if I've talked about this before, but this game is in a really not good state. We're still technically doing beta content months after release. The devs choose not to communicate with us. They don't implement things that they say they're going to implement. There's a lot of lip service being done as to things that need to change. They say they're going to change it. They either like back end it with like a nerf underneath, or they just don't address it at all. So leading your patch notes that everybody's been clamoring for the last month and a half, we were expecting the tower, like the endless tower, something that we have in Summoner's War. We were expecting faction wars. We were expecting new champions, caveated by the fact that they did say no new champions are coming out this patch earlier, so they at least tamed that expectation. However, we're waiting for all of this content because most of the veteran players that have been playing this game are now down to just, bullshit projects or just farming their dailies and not giving a crap about anything. And a lot of us have just turned our wallets off at this point because there's just no reason to spend gems to grind gear for side grades. I think the last time I went and grinded gear, I did dragons looking for like lifesteal sets with triple proc speed on 5-star epic runes. And I got one side grade where I traded like 3% crit for 4 speed. And I wasted, I don't know, something like 8k energy trying to do that. So it's completely useless. If you're a veteran player and you've reached the point where you've got decent 5-star runes and you're doing content and you can do all the level 15s, like just don't do them anymore because there's absolutely zero point to doing them. Even clan boss was kind of like the last frontier where we were working on trying to get places, and even that, like, they've kind of messed that up with this patch. So when you lead in your patch notes with a referral program, like this shit right here, this shit should be the very last thing on your patch notes. It shouldn't be the first thing. We don't want to refer our friends to a game that the developers don't give a crap about us and they don't put out content in the timelines that they tell us they're going to put out content. So like this is just an incentive for me to go make 3 alts on 3 random email accounts and just AFK farm them with bots on Nox. That's all this is. You're not going to get a single dollar out of this. You're not going to get any real referrals out of this for the most part. So here we go. Moving on, we have content. This line right here is the extent of all of the new content that we got in this patch. Progress missions. They unlocked chapters 3 and 4 for the progress missions, where we can earn the new legendary Arbiter, the Arbiter herself. So much hype around this new legendary, right? I think we got what? A 6-second clip on Facebook of just her still shot. Like, learn how to hype your game. Learn how to just do the things that other game companies do to a fault. Everybody else hypes their game too much. You guys just don't hype it at all. So we have two lines of new content and introduces an Arbiter. So let's go check out who this Arbiter is. We can find that by going here to missions, and you'll notice that before we were stopped here at our legendary shard, our sacred shard. Now we can earn, count them, 2 new skill tomes and an Arbiter. So let's see her. She's a legendary. She used to come up. There we go. So, I mean, we all know what she looks like. She looks cool. She's a waifu status. She's a legendary support. And I'm getting tired of supports to begin with. We don't need supports to carry us through content. But anyway, let's see what she does. So she attacks. She's a double hitter, and she has a 50% chance of placing a weakened debuff for 2 turns. So I'm looking at that skill, and I'm like, yeah, Aphel's 1A attacks 3 times and has a 50% chance of placing a 25% weakened buff for 2 turns on every hit. This one just has a flat 50% chance to apply it, but it's for 2 turns. She's a support. She's not an attack. It's a good skill, especially considering the way the clan boss changes for War Master and stuff have come out. 2 hits as opposed to 3 hits means absolutely nothing. The amount of damage you're going to get out of a 2-hit versus a 3-hit is identical for the most part. So decent. I could see she puts up weaken, and she's a legendary, so she's going to have good stats. We'll go into the whole legendary thing in a little while because that's kind of a controversial point right now. Enforced humility. Attacks all enemies. Has a chance of decreasing enemy buffs by 1 turn. That's a cool skill. She's got a little bit of an AoE purge. Really good for people with shields and counters and what's that dude in the meta right now? Roshguard. All of the skull crowns that go, unkillable for 1 turn. This is a decent skill. So, I mean, she's definitely got some arena use. I don't see how this is useful. I guess it's useful in the magic affinity keep and maybe spirits. You can't remove it from the Minotaur, so that's kind of the extent of what this does. Then we go to her 3 skill. This is kind of her bread and butter skill. Fills the turn meter of all allies by 30% and places a 50% increased attack buff for 2 turns. If you think that skill looks familiar, it's pretty much Seeker or Gorgorob on a legendary. Now they've kind of buffed it a little by healing all allies by 25% of their max HP. Useless first turn, so everybody's going to be at full. The idea is you want her to go first. And if the fight goes long, maybe she can start to heal people. But really, this is just a first turn boost. She does have 33% speed in arena, so you could see where this is going. She's definitely a Seeker Gorgorob replacement, and you no longer have to use Shazar or Kaimar as your speed lead. Although I don't see why you wouldn't use Shazar anyway, because Shazar is just fucking awesome. And then, of course, she has her kind of legendary 4th skill, which is cool, makes her a good character. She revives everyone, fills their turn meter by 20%, and then gets an extra turn, which chances are you're going to be able to use this, give yourself an extra turn, and then use this, which heals them all even more, and then gives them 30% extra turn meter. So between this and this, you could ostensibly be giving them, 50% turn meter and a shitload of life. So it's a good oh shit support skill. As for base stats, she's got no attack and very low defense. So I wonder how tanky you're going to be able to get her, but if you look at her speed, she is a 110 speed base, so this chick's going to be fast, and she's void. So I mean, there's a lot of cool things about being able to get her. There you go, guys. That's the extent of your new content in 1.7. Just grinding it out to her, and a lot of these campaign missions are just a real pain in the ass. You could see I didn't even bother doing them. I didn't find them really kind of my focus. I wanted to get champions up, level them up. So I'm kind of just going through them now. It gives me something to do, I guess, but I don't know. I'm not super enthused about, going back to normal and farming up a pair of attack gauntlets with percentage as the primary stat. I think I spent like 15 minutes of the game on normal when I first started, and that was the extent of me doing anything on normal. Oh, sorry. So let's continue on here. So now we go to Mastery's Balance, and this is where the clusterfuck really starts. So we'll the old plus 200 attack that was called War Master, I guess, has now been changed to a 60% chance to inflict 10% or 4% of the boss's max HP, and it can only occur once per skill, does not count as an extra hit. So if you have a one-hitter, it has a 60% chance to go off on that skill. It's every skill used has a 60% chance to do it. It has nothing to do with how many hits. It only has to do with how many skill activations. I haven't tested this on counter, but I think counter counts as a skill activation for their default skill. So you probably should still be able to use Skull Crusher and get this to proc. This makes so it's a 60% chance, and then let's look at Giant Slayer, because Giant Slayer has been reduced to a 30% chance. The reason this 30% chance has been reduced is because they want to bring this exactly in line with War Master. If you'll notice, it's half the chance to proc, and it does half of the damage. So what they want is for this to be like a break even for between 2 hitters and 3 hitters, and they want this to be kind of like what you get for 1 hitter or 2 hitters, and they want Giant Slayer to be what you get for 3 hitters and 4 hitters, and the overall damage should be roughly the same. I think we did some spreadsheet math in Excel, and a 2-hitter with War Master or a 1-hitter with War Master had the exact same overall damage over time as a 3-hitter with Giant Slayer. The only kind of little bit of an increase you got was with a 4-hitter, but there's only one, and that's Cold Heart, and we'll get to this in a second because Cold Heart's not going to do dick to the clan boss anymore, really. Helm Smasher, they upped defense increase. I don't know of a single person who was using this or what it would be used for. It could be a PvP thing, but until we have large enough champion pools where we're not all really focusing on clan boss, I don't think this. I mean, it's a buff, but I just don't see it getting used that much. Shield Breaker. This is also a kind of a PvP thing for all those teams that want to kill people in the first turn. Doesn't look like it was changed. I'm not really sure. I don't even know why they put this here. So defensive tree heals this champion by 6% every time another person's healed. That makes for really stale arena fights. I don't even this mechanic shouldn't be in there. We don't want arena fights to go on for 27 minutes. Evil Eye. I don't notice anything that changed about this. The buff extender and debuff extenders, the chance has been reduced by 5%. This is a nerf to clan boss damage, but not super significant because a lot of the debuffs no longer matter. And here we go, champions. So this is something that a lot of people have been clamoring about. Legendary champions fucking suck. Not all of them, a lot of them. For example, let us look in my inventory. Champion Vault. This guy. He gets a little bit of love, but in general, don't want to use him. Sathalia doesn't do her job. Useless. What's this dude called? I forget what he's called. Not good. But then, like, these ones aren't even, like, real perpetrators. Not, I mean, like, no, they're still good. They got stats. But, like, this chick, Astrolith, everybody has been screaming to fix her. She's absolutely useless anywhere right now. And not a single patch note. Dracomorph. Here, let's go to everybody's fucking favorite legendary. Shit, not champions. What is this dude? Is he a lizard man? Here he is. Dracomorph. Yes! Look at this guy. Look at him. Look at his kit for a legendary. Oh, doesn't even attack on his A3. Like, it's not even an attack. Like, why even have this guy in the game? It's awful. Like, when you have this guy, and then you have, let's see, places a weaken buff and a decreased defense buff with no attack. Then attacks 3 times at random, has a 75% chance of putting has a 100% chance of putting 1 poison for 2 turns. And attacks 1 enemy, and if that target is killed, it'll do like some surplus damage to someone else. Like, why have that epic? Why have that legendary in the game when you have now Knights Revenants? Where are they? I mean, there are a ton of them. Zavia would be a good one, but like, look at this guy. He's also got 3 skills. So it's like, maybe he's the same. Maybe he's equally shitty. Oh yeah, wait, no. He attacks 3 times and has a 30% chance of placing 50% chance of placing a 5% poison on his 1A. Then he attacks all enemies and has a 50% chance to stun the enemies. And if he doesn't stun them, he places a decreased speed. And then on his 3A, he attacks all enemies and reduces all turn meters by 75%. Like, this is a kit for a legendary. Dracomorph is a bag of shit. Yet, when we look at the patch notes, let's bring up the patch notes. Let's see. Did Dracomorph get touched? No. Did Astrolith get touched? No. Mashaled got a little buff. Let's read it. He got a buff. He was also a bag of shit. Places a 30% increased speed and a 30. Okay, so it self-buffs him and another target ally. So it's not just another person for 2 turns. It's himself and another target ally, and he gets another turn. Like, why not just buffs the whole team and gets another turn? That would be a pretty legendary ability, but yeah, that's just me. There we go. War Chief. He's now a taunter instead of a freezer. He now places a 30% reflect damage, and again, defense increased by 10% for each dead ally. Like, get rid of this mechanic. We don't want mechanics based off of dead allies. Speed and HP slightly increased, defense and attack slightly decreased. So you've given him more HP, you've making him a little faster. You've decreased his defense, so his abilities to scale off of defense do less. You've given him less attack, but do any of his skills scale off of attack anyway? So it's like a useless stat for him. And those are the extent of the legendary buffs. Like, all of you guys who got shitty legendaries on your Sacred Shard, if you were lucky enough to get a legendary, basically just go piss in the wind, because they're obviously not going to address the shitty legendary issue. They say it's on their list, but clearly their list is not being consulted when they're making these patch notes. So let's go through some of the buffs and debuffs that actually matter. Cardinal got a really nice buff. I think she's an Epic Void. She now revives everyone and gives them max turn meter, so not just one dead ally. This is a really meaningful buff. Let's see. multiplier increased due to champion type. We don't know what that means for Maneater, but we figure that means his multiplier was increased because he's an epic monster, so epic multipliers went up. Let's see, Sinesha. Sinesha equalizes and heals the target by 10%, so the equalize, I guess, just wasn't good enough, so they needed to give her a little bit of a heal. A lot of people complain that she's OP. I personally don't use her. I don't really find a need for her, but I didn't really feel like she was just in dire need of any buffs, just looking at her kit. But whatever, I guess they felt like they needed to buff her. Taurus, our favorite guy, can, as somebody rightfully put it in the Discord, he can now kill himself every 5 turns as opposed to every 6 turns. So he got a super buff. Sylar, this is another buff that I kind of wanted to highlight. Sylar was a average to maybe below average epic, void epic, that has AoE attack on turn on her 1A and 2A. And the reason she was pretty bad was because her third skill didn't attack. It just placed a decreased speed, and it removed their turn meter by 15%, which just didn't cut it in Spider, because she's obviously made for Spider. That little 15% turn meter decrease was just not enough to compensate for the fact that her turn, she wasn't getting an attack in. She was just debuffing. But they upped this to 40, so I believe now she should be fairly strong. She's pretty fast. You could even use her in use her with Arbiter and just make her a CC'er, put a bunch of freeze, stun runes on her or something. Let her go first, right after Arbiter. Decrease, so not only do you boost your turn meter, but you decrease everybody else's turn meter and decrease their speed by 30%. So if that stuff lands, it's you're almost guaranteed to get like two full rounds before the opponent's team goes if you're on the attack. So this is a pretty strong buff. See, Warcaster, he has a higher chance to steal buffs. Pedma, I have no idea who that is. Warden, he now attacks all enemies one time and places a reflect damage, so that's a good change to his skill. I absolutely despise these skills that don't actually do anything. They just like place a little buff, especially if you're not a support character. And reflect is just not that good of a buff to justify missing an attack on. Rowan, she's the epic that's based off of speed. I don't really know exactly what her skills are, but these look like some pretty good buffs to her cooldowns. So that could be interesting, someone to look at. And Magister. That dude's a rare. I have no idea what that guy's for or what he's doing, but holy crap, like why even waste the time to go in and like buff some random rare when you have so many other people who are in need of looking at. But all right, so those are all the balances that you got for all the champions. Now, I can't speak for any sort of like hidden nerfs and stuff. You can't put it past this company to not have done that. There's a good chance that there are numerous changes to the way champions work that are just not in these patch notes because they just don't feel the need to communicate with us like what they're doing to their game and what they're changing while we're buying stuff from them. Here we go. Miscellaneous. These are usually important. Okay. Clan boss can hold 2 at a time. That's cool. So you don't have to, you don't feel like pressure to log in every 6 hours just to maximize the number of keys you use for the day. I think that's a good change, good quality of life change. It should be highlighted. I don't know why some of these are highlighted, but this is a good one. So clan boss HP decreased by 40%. So they want people clearing easy and normal. So that's okay. I don't know if this is going to compensate for the decrease in damage that everybody's going to do, but we'll see. Clan boss chests now drop a single stack of potions. Okay, so you can't get 4 rewards from the clan boss and have them all be FU brews, because that was pretty awful. So now Champion Vault can now be increased to 200. This is something that should have been in the game from the very beginning. Unfortunately, they decided they weren't going to do that, and now instead they highlight it, even though it's been in the game since the leak. It's not like a new quality of life improvement. It's been here for a bit now, and you got to pay a shitload of gems or silver to do it. Like, it's going to cost you probably 1,500 gems at least in order to get it to 200. But yeah, I mean, why give us stuff when the game releases that should be in there, when you can just withhold it, wait till people are frustrated, and then charge them for it when it's time to do it. Here's one that's super controversial. Drop rate increased in the Minotaur's Labyrinth. So if you recall, if you were doing Minotaur farming, if you did Minotaur stage 15, you got 3 to 6 divine scrolls when you were farming your masteries. So let's see what they changed it to. They changed it to 6 to 12. So they doubled the amount of divine scrolls that you get in Minotaur farming. Now, on its face, I want to say kudos. That's a good change. Minotaur farming was absolutely mindless, not fun, and just an obvious energy sink and designed to make people spend gems. Now, here's where it gets kind of stupid. For me, I did my Minotaur farming quite a while ago, and now it's pretty easy to just get one guy up to Giant Slayer, so not a big deal. But how about all these people for the past 2 weeks that have just been getting to Giant Slayer, and they're like, yes, I'm finally going to get my Giant Slayer, and they grind for 72 hours to get their team, full Giant Slayer, and now the next day they're like, oh yeah, we're going to double this, and not offer any form, not even a hint, not even an acknowledgement of why they're not giving you compensation. No, like, yeah, we know you just did it, fuck off, we don't care, this is why we're doing this. No, just no, don't even address it. We're just going to double it flat out and not care about all the people who spent thousands of energy getting it under the old shitty 3 to 6 method. So, good job, guys. Good job. So you can no longer increase buff duration. So this was something that was done. People figured out a few builds where I think they used Valerie in order to, like 3 Valeries and a Rosh Guard, and they just went immune forever with counter. You can no longer do that. You cannot extend unkillable buffs or stun and stuff like that. You can't keep someone permanently frozen. Damage caused by reflect damage now ignores defense. This is a mechanic that needs to be tested. This could be good. It could be bad. It can't be worse than it was before, because for some reason they thought it was a good idea that you would reflect damage and you would mitigate it, and then it would reflect, like you would reflect only a little bit back, and that damage that was reflected back was again mitigated by defense. So it was like you got almost nothing out of this reflect. Now at least it ignores the back end defense of the enemy champion. We still don't know if it's good or not. Numerous champions had their base and ascended stats very mildly adjusted. Okay, so we had some stat changes. We don't know what they are. It's going to take too much time to make a table like this, get into like Word or Excel and make a table, which you clearly know how to do, but it was probably awful. So we're just going to say some people have had stuff changed, very mild though. So that's our justification. This is our justification right here for not actually telling you what we did, but we did it. Victories in gold 1 tier grant 2 gold medals instead of 1. This was a quality of life. Well, it wasn't a quality of life improvement. It was just a logical improvement, and it's been in the game for a week now. Thank you. I was tired of farming silver 4 just because it was better than gold 1 and faster and equivalent to gold 2. All bosses now have increased debuff accuracy and debuff resistance. So here we go. Like let's begin this little rant. prior to this, we were notified that accuracy was not working as intended. We didn't really know what that meant, so we thought that, okay, we'll notice an increase to damage because we have accuracy on our characters. Because what people were reporting was accuracy made no difference, and so there was no point in using accuracy. Take the accuracy off and just substitute in either survivability or, attack stats. Apparently what they meant, and they just didn't want to say it, was that accuracy was broken as in the bosses didn't have resistance. So that's why it didn't matter how much accuracy we had. Now it does, and you'll notice that applying debuffs is going to be a lot harder. Nightmare probably going to be back to the paradigm that we originally thought. A Nightmare clan boss is going to be probably around 150 accuracy minimum in order to land your debuffs with any sort of, consistency. Oh man. Affinity keeps will now be available. I don't know what that is. It's something for new players. Counterattack. Okay, here we got some bug fixes. Counterattack is no longer triggered. Fixed an issue that caused certain status effects to affect the damage dealt by HP burn and poison. So now this HP burn and poison should no longer be affected by weakness and defense down. So you don't need those debuffs on clan boss in order to do more damage with those particular abilities. They now do like flat damage, and again, we'll get into that very shortly here. Increase the champions, numerous minor bugs fixed. Okay, here's the Arbiter, the Goddess of Light, and we have like some like mindless script text underneath that means nothing to us. So now let's talk about, what's clearly not in the patch. Big one, 6-star gear. 6-star gear not in this patch, which means when I go to a dungeon, like for example, I want to upgrade my gear and I'm farming these other levels for more energy, and I should be getting 4 to 6-star gear. Now, we don't have 4 to 6 stars, we have 4 to 5 stars, and no legendaries, mind you. So we are essentially sitting in a beta phase. This was the gear designed for beta so that people didn't push through content too quickly, and for some reason they've extended this concept out past release. Now, we have an official word on this. This isn't that 6-star doesn't exist. It isn't that 5-star gear is really the max tier. No, it exists, and the devs have stated numerous times that they are holding back 6-star gear because they want to bring the new players in line with the old players. So my thoughts on this is, 99% of this game's revenue is driven by whales and veteran players. So anybody who matters in their analytics for the most part, you're fucking them over. And they'll be the first ones to leave because, frankly, the game's just dried up. Second of all, it's a totally fine methodology for beta. But we're like 3 months, 2 months, I don't even know how many months into release. This gear, we're just sitting here looking at this 6-star gear, and you're hoping that we burn energy to farm Dragons 15? No, we're not going to. There's no reason to farm Stage 15 for gear because all we can get is 5-star gear. We'll see no upgrades. There's always going to be a disparity between the people who pay and the people who don't. That's just the way it is. If you try to wait until the vast majority of the server has full 5-star epic gear, we're talking at least 6 months because all of your other systems in this game are designed to hold free-to-play players back. all of the energy sinks required to get the masteries, the absolutely abysmal drop rates of shards and the ability to summon. However, couple that with the need to have such a diverse champion pool, even more so now that we've taken out the extra hits from Giant Slayer. So if you want to do Fire Knight, you have to have a certain team of 5. They all got to be multi-hitters, because you're not going to be able to cheese dick it with Giant Slayer anymore, or War Master, because none of them count as extra hits. Dragon's useless content. It's pretty easy. Anybody can do it. But then we get into clan boss. You want to get the good clan boss rewards, you have to have a completely different set of tunes and then differently geared as well in order to do well in clan boss. Arena as well. You need completely different sets of gear, different focuses, different tunes that are going to be good in arena. And so if you want to excel in all these, you need to have a really, really large champion pool. But that's really hard to do. Not every free-to-player is going to be sitting on a vault like this. Like, not everybody's going to have every single epic in the game just sitting in their vault. And this is a testament to how many champions in your game just are comparable to other champions. Like, so many champions need work, and yet here they are just, sitting in my vault. Maybe I want to pull Cardinal out. Probably want to pull Lua out, or I don't even think that's Lua. I don't know. Luria. Lua is the one I want to work on. But for the most part, these dudes are just going to sit here and just wait for a fusion. Oh yeah, sorry, by the way, is there a new fusion? Let's check. Nope. You guys still just get good old Relic Keeper. Go fuse him. We don't really care about fusion. That's not in the game. So, I don't know what you guys thought when you were releasing content. When you give us one line of a quest and call it content. When I look to, I don't know, what's this? It's hidden. We don't even know what it is. It's hidden. Where's the content? Let me see. Let me go back here. Oh, Faction Wars. Look at this. Cool. Scroll down to read. What does this mean for you? Save your champions. You'll need tons, but we won't give you opportunities to summon good champions. Well, is this in the game? No, not in the game. So, we don't have any really any new content. We don't really have the ability to upgrade our characters anymore. So, if you're a veteran player and this patch comes out, like, what do you do? You go back to just doing dailies and, trolling the market, buying uncommons like this. This is what I do now. Every hour or so I get on and fill up my my inventory with 2-star champions and, slowly work through this. And that's if they haven't even done it yet. At least for me, I have quite a few quests left to do, but I don't even need it. So now let's get into the clan boss mechanics, because this is what's really pissed off a lot of players. And I'm sorry it took so long to get through it. But let's see some pins that have been posted by the devs. Raid Shadow Legends pinned message. And so this morning we had these awesome pins because the Discord bug report channel just absolutely blew up with what the hell is going on. And sorry, this is the actual bug report channel. We'll go to pinned messages. And so here we go. Hi everyone, as an update from the devs. The HP of Clan Boss on certain difficulties was changed, and this will take effect tomorrow. Okay, so some people were seeing like 120% out of 100 for their Clan Boss life. Damage to Clan Boss, which is based off of a percentage of target, is capped at 75,000 across all difficulties. If X% is higher than 75,000, the mastery will inflict 75,000. So you will not get more, or the idea is you will not get more than 75k per Giant Slayer or War Master hits based off of anything. That's just the cap. You can't weaken it. You can't defense debuff it. You can't do anything. So all you're getting is 75,000. These caps were applied to the abilities. Here we go. And then ensue 20 minutes of people telling them that that's not right and that's not how it's working. So then it's correction. These caps were applied to abilities only and don't affect Giant Slayer and War Master Masteries. So you can tell everybody's completely confused. I'm confused. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on right now. So I think the idea is every champion on their skills themselves can do up to 75,000 damage, regardless of what the skill is, before defense mitigation. Skills that have damage based on HP may do even less, but Giant Slayer and War Master can still do the full amount. Yeah. So if we can decipher that at all, but there's even more. Here we go. Jonathan in the announcements. Important notice. In regards to the damage cap, it seems that War Master is affected by it, and that cap indeed depends on champion rarity. It's not supposed to work like that, but it will be investigated ASAP. In regards to War Master and Giant Slayer doing the same damage against Clan Boss that is intended, he has a skill that decreases damage based on max HP, so it gets capped. So the idea that War Master does 4% of the boss's max HP and Giant Slayer does 2% is meaningless because it's capped at 75k or whatever. But this is the funny part. It's affected by champion rarity. So here you have poisons, HP burns, and War Master Giant Slayer procs. You're going to do less now if you have an epic or a rare champion in your team as opposed to a legendary. So Aethel, for example, who was a staple in most people's Clan Boss team because she had a 3-hit on Giant Slayer, she's now going to proc and hit for less than Exemplar, who also has a 3-hit 1A, who in turn will hit less than, say, Lord Shazar, who has a 1A as well, that hits 3 times. Only for the fact that one's a rare, one's an epic, and one's a legendary. Now, mind you, this isn't like these champions are doing less because they're rare and they have less stats. They already have less stats. But what they're now doing is just straight capping damage, just giving, here you go, you're a legendary, you're going to do this much. So you might as well just say, like, if you want a good CB boss team, you better have 5 legendaries. And if you want a medium CB boss team, you can have 5 epics. And if you want a poop CB boss team, then you just use your 5 rares. And it doesn't matter about meta. It doesn't matter about how you build them. It just, you're going to get screwed because the caps are low, and the caps are even lower for epics, and the caps are even lower for rares. So imagine like you have this baller ass Aethel, but she can only hit for 55,000 per War Master because she's a rare. And then you have another guy, and it's so easy to hit that cap because all you need is the mastery. That's it. Then you have another guy, he's just inherently going to do 20k more per War Master or Giant Slayer proc because he's a legendary. Like, I don't know of a single other game that caps damage based off of champion rarity. I know of games where legendaries are better than rares. That's true. They usually have better skill sets. They usually have better stats. Like, that's enough to make them legendary. And then you put them in those legendary shards and you never get them, and like everybody wants them. And that's the whole thing about having a legendary. In this game, no, we're just going to lazy it up and we're going to make it on champion rarity. Just flat out. That's a pretty easy way to do it, right? We don't really need to think about it. Purple does more damage than blue, and yellow does more damage than purple. Fuck everything else. So, I mean, needless to say, right now, everything's kind of a cluster. I've been super frustrated that I can't farm 6-star gear. Personally, I took a 20 mil, like I was doing 20 million in Nightmare with my team, and 15 million per hit, like pretty regularly on auto. And I woke up this morning and just turned it on auto, didn't make any changes. I just wanted to see what the patch had done to status quo, and I did like 9.2. So we're talking about like 60% decrease in damage on higher difficulty level clan bosses. And that's fine for me personally. I mean, that's cool. Makes shit harder is fine. It gives me something to kind of push back towards to see if I can get my damage back up. But at least give me like an avenue, like an approach for which I can do that. There's no gear for me to farm. There's no real way to make my team better. My only approach at this point is to, substitute in legendaries. And if I don't have good legendaries, then just buy packs and open them until I do get good legendaries. And that's essentially what they're telling us right now is if you want to do better, just buy more and use more legendaries. And the shitty part about that whole thing is even if when they do put in 6-star gear, that's not going to up our damage because we're already hitting cap. And the only thing that's preventing us from doing more damage is the fact that we don't have legendaries. So me getting super awesome 6-star gear on my Cold Heart, for example, isn't going to up her damage. I'm just going to be stuck. And my only option would be to, sub out Cold Heart and put in Tomb Lord or something. Lord Shazar. At least I have legendaries, but I'd say the majority of the people don't have, 13, 14, 15 legendaries that they can gear out for different purposes and play the game. So I'd say overall, I'd give this patch about a 1 out of 10. And mainly because of just the lack of content. We're all waiting for content, and again, this is the only content we got. So, Plarium Games, if you see this video, first of all, you can go fuck yourselves, and second of all, if you want to have a game in the future, in a month or two from now, start putting out content, start making sure the game progresses, because I don't see people playing it for very much longer. And we didn't even touch on the problems that the patch caused. Let's go into the bug reports. Like, this is it's just been never ending bugs of screens not working, people not being able to play the game, shit disappearing, getting rolled back. I mean, this is it. We haven't even discussed all this. Your patch was horribly implemented. It wasn't tested. You don't have a public test server, so there's no real way for us to tell you what's wrong with your patch prior to you just throwing it on your systems live and letting the shit just hit the fan. So that's my video. I don't know how many more videos I'm going to be doing on this game. I definitely don't feel like putting in a lot of time to make guides and content if they're not giving me like a reason to play more than 15-20 minutes on a daily basis. But hopefully we covered the majority of things that were in the patch, and if the patch works for you guys, more power to you. Hopefully you guys are still having fun playing the game. I, as well as a few people, quite a lot of people in my in my clan are fairly dissatisfied and are definitely scaling back, closing up the pay machines, and even like just looking for new games. Like, if a new game were to drop next week, we would all be out instantly. I think the only good thing that this game has going for it right now is that there's really nothing new on the market to play. That being said, if you guys know of any new games, new as in like came out like last week or something like that, then feel free to drop the links in the comments below, and I will check those games out, because yeah, I got more time on my hands now that there's nothing for me to do in this game. So, anyways, guys, peace. Hopefully, the devs rectify themselves, and I can keep on creating content for this game, as I like the style of game. I played Summoner's War for years. I definitely like the art style, and I like the potential and the concepts behind this game. Right now I just can't stomach the kind of communication that we're getting from the devs, and just their 100% focus on like pure analytics, pure spend-driven decisions that just turn like a blind eye to pretty much everything that the veteran community has been asking for and been telling them since the very beginning. So, anyways, that was a long video. Peace, and hopefully we'll have more videos in the future.